Hello, I'm Philip Brunelle, Artistic Director and founder of Vocal Essence and organist choirmaster at Plymouth Congregational Church in Minneapolis. So each day, I've taken a different composer who's had a role to play with both organizations, and today, it's the quintessential American composer earlier in the century, and that would be Charles Ives. Born in 1874, died in 1954. He was not only a composer, but one of the few, maybe the only one, who was also an insurance agent. He worked for Mutual Life and then founded with another fellow their own company. And the way you'd know Charles Ives in the insurance business is he was one of the people, perhaps the most important one, who figured out about estate planning. That was Charles Ives. At age 14, he became a church organist. And Charles Ives had an idea about sound that was not what everybody thought sound was about. I mean, he figured out that if this was a chord, and if this was a chord, then, any four notes could be a chord, couldn't they? So how about this? Or how about these six? Well, people didn't all get that, but the fact was he loved to write just some really, for the time, outlandish music. When he studied at Harvard and Horatio Parker was his teacher, Horatio Parker talked very much down about Richard Strauss, who was in those days a very modern composer. And Charles Ives is supposedly to have said to Horatio Parker, "You're only speaking bad of him because you wish you could write something that good." Anyway, Charles Ives wrote a set of variations on America. And when I conducted at the Aldborough Festival the first time in England, I was asked to do an organ program at the parish church. And I thought, they wanted all American. So I will do his variations on America because, of course, that's the same melody that they use for God Save Our Gracious Queen. At the rehearsal that day, there was a lady dusting and sweeping in the church. And when I finished playing this piece, she came over to the organ, furious, and asked how I could have been so rude about their anthem. I tried to explain it was also a piece that we know in the USA, but that didn't go anywhere. So here's a little bit of what Ives did with America. It starts out, of course, and I can't imagine what his church thought when at age 14 he played that as a postlude on Sunday morning. But that was Charles Ives. He also wrote a piece called Psalm 90, which had a lot of very atmospheric kind of chords with it. So that, for instance, at the very beginning in the introduction, he wrote this chord, which he then said is the extremities. And then he did this chord, which was creation. And then this chord, God's wrath against sin. And then prayer and humility, rejoicing in beauty and work. And then the piece began. So you can see this man, he had an amazing creative kind of sense. And it was really only after he died that a lot of his music came to be known. One of the people who really promoted him was Leonard Bernstein. Another was Michael Tilson Thomas. So early on, he loved the whole thing about festives, about circuses coming to town, about just general picnics, and he would write music about all these kinds of situations. So I thought today, this being the week of the 4th of July, his piece called The Circus Band, which the words were by Harmony Ives, his wife, and this is called, it's called In Quick Step Time. All summer long, we boys dreamed about big circus joys. Down Main Street comes the band. Oh, ain't it a grand and a glorious noise? So I've asked, at this point, Clara Osowski to join me for this. And when we get to the end, her part is marked fortissimo, but mine is marked F, F, F. And it says, hear the trombones. So if you have trouble at the end hearing Clara all the time, hey, it's Ives asking for it. Here we go. Have a wonderful day.